Hello and welcome to the Scrum chat room with Dr. Francis Mbunya. And today we want to talk about navigating the Scrum job market with success, what to do. Navigating the Scrum job market with success, what to do. And I'm going to be covering five different aspects in our today's live session. And obviously, I'm going to also be taking your um, answers, questions as well. Right. So we are going to look at number one, strategy for standing out in the policy of standing out in a competitive market. You will all agree that the market is very competitive now. What a strategy that you can leverage in order to stand out. We're going to also be talking about navigating the intricacy of the Scrum job landscape. We also look into that today. And then we're going to talk about some insider tips on how to ace your Scrum interviews, right? And then we'll also talk about what are some of the skills you should be looking out to or looking out for if you are interested in the Scrum market. And then lastly, we're gonna dive into practical advice on how to build and leverage your Scrum network. So it's a whole full package today. And let me know where you are joining in from. Drop a comment and do as well to share and invite someone to join in. This is a whole masterclass we are going to be covering within the next 30 to 45 minutes, including questions and answers. So, this is not just only for those who are taking interviews, even those who are already in the field and working. I think most often you even need this compared to those who are interviewing because we are going to not just dive into how to get the job, but also what to do to keep the job. All right, I see Ifulua from the UK. Hello, thanks for joining in. Please, when you join in, you want to click the like button. You want to share so that we can have other people also benefit from this conversation. Right? It's always an engaging and interesting conversation, and today we want to take it and keep it that relevant as well. So, the first thing which we are going to discuss today is strategy for standing out in a competitive job market. What are some of the things you can do to stand out, both for those who are actually looking for jobs and also those who are out there already working? What are some of the strategies you can leverage in order to stand out in a competitive job market? Now, I know many of you would already have been noticing that the market is really competitive. It takes quite a while to even get a call from a recruiter or get an interview, right? Which means that you need to be very, very ready when you have that opportunity. If not, you are going to waste a whole lot of time, which is the importance for us doing this video. So, the first thing you need to do to stand out first, it's be ready. You need to be ready. Now, when we talk about be ready, what exactly does it mean to be ready for the Scrum job market? Many people think that being ready is about me attending a certification training session, having my resume, and then preparing to start interview. Now, this by far is the foundation of what you need. You need to learn how to build beyond certification, interview preparation, and resume. One of the reasons why we have a lot of people who are taking, let's say, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year, and even 2 years, and then getting discouraged in the process is because they have not mastered exactly what they need to do to stand out to stand out in the job market. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and from there, you can figure out exactly what you need to do, right? So, I'm just being a coach today. I'm going to put you towards thinking around what I'm saying and not telling you exactly directly what to do. Now, as a disclaimer, I would not say my idea or the way I look at it is the only way that it can work, but I'm looking at it from the perspective on what I have seen and how my team has been able to help more than 150 people get in there. So what have we seen so far? So it's more, I'm talking more from a practical experience point of view rather than from a theoretical aspect of it. So the first thing which you want to do in order to get ready is to be prepared. Now, what does it mean to be prepared? To be prepared means you have the right certifications, which kind of gives you now the opportunity to stand out in the market. What are the right certification for me? All right. A lot of people go in for PSM and CSM, which is really great. But for you to stay competitive, you want to be able to enforce yourself so that you can be all around. So add a safe training certification to the certification that you have. That is going to increase your chances to land an interview. Right. If you are applying and someone have a safe scrum master certification compared to another person without a safe scrum master certification, then you're going to realize that the person with a safe scrum master certification will get at least two times more attraction compared to the person without. Why? Because majority, especially most of the big companies out here, the big banks, also are referring to the US market, they use safe. So you want to ensure that you're adding a safe certification. That's one of the first things that I've seen missing in the resume of those many people I've spoken to. So you want to make sure that you get a safe certification. And for those who need safe certification, we're having a training this weekend, so you definitely can tap into that this weekend. I'm also going to send you some information on uh, our safe training program so that you probably can also take time and look through that and see if that is what you're going to need. That's the first thing, the right certification. Now, the second thing is the right resume. What exactly do I mean by the right resume? Uh, Averagely, I always say that if you put your resume out for the next 1 month and you get no call, it's an indication that you're doing something wrong. So if you put your resume out there and in less than in about a month you are not getting any call, there's definitely no need to keep doing what is not right. So my advice for you at that point is that uh, go back to the market, go back to the drawing board, and figure out exactly what you need to do. All right, which means that a resume can also be the reason why you're not getting advanced in the position. Now, what are some of the things which you should not have in your resume? These are some of the hacks, right? We're looking at practical example. Now, I've seen a lot of people make so much mistakes in that. Now they are actually looking for a scrum position, but if you go back and look at their foundation is purely non-leadership. They have no leadership experience. Someone moving from, let's say, moving from a head assistant into a scrum master, it doesn't make sense. If I'm the hiring manager, Scrum is more of leadership, more of project management. If you're not able to show me how you have been able to build the leadership skills that you will use to help the team, trust me, I'm not going to pique your interest, or I'm not even going to look at your resume. Right. Now, also on your resume, what also many people miss it out in the resume is the wrong education. Right. Is there a wrong education? Yes. Now they are certificate, they are degree program that if let's say if I'm looking for a scrum master, I see someone with a background in business, someone with background in the computer engineering, someone with background in let's say leadership and project management versus someone with a background in medical science. Who am I going to pick? You make the decision. Right. So those are some of the things that you put in your resume that kind of put you away when they look at your resume, it's a turn off. The third thing about building the right strategy for standing out, it's also focusing on the structure of your resume. A lot of resume are very crowded. I will see like a whole one-page summary, and then we start listing our job position. If you have a whole full one-page summary, why do you want me to go start reading out the job description and all of that? So those are some of the stuff that push people out and then give them the impression that you don't know exactly what you need to do, right? What you have to do, right? You can have a summary, and a summary is 2 pages. I've seen that over and over again. Those are some of the stuff that kind of put you out there. Now, the third thing you need to do in order to stand out is that apart from just the Scrum certification, get at least 2 or 3 other certification that can separate you from every other person. Now, what are some of the other certification I recommend? I recommend, it's not a mandatory. I recommend getting a PO certification. I recommend getting an ROT certification. I recommend getting a Kanban practitioner certification. For those who want to, if you can also get the PMP certification, that's going to be a big plus for you. If you look at many Scrum position now, it's a project manager for Scrum Master, business analyst for Scrum Master. Now, why is the market shifting? The market is shifting because many people that are stepping into the space don't even have the least idea on project management. Why? Because they are paying attention on resume and questions and answer and mastering as many question and answer as possible. Now that will help you pass through and maybe you get an offer, but you realize that when you actually get in the environment, you will not be able to deliver. Why? You lack the basics, which is number five, which I'm going to talk about today on some of the practical stuff you should start considering if you want to land a job that does not just earn you a job, lead to a promotion. If you want to build the right skills in which you're not afraid about losing your job or you're not afraid about securing a contract, you are more competitive in the market. There are a couple of things that you must do. Now, the second thing which I want to talk about today is navigating the intricacy of the job market landscape. Now, when we talk about the landscape, it's about now we are seeing positions in the market navigating from business analyst to scrum master to project manager, and some often we also seen Scrum Dojo and Spotify, other methods are coming up. Now, you need to understand how the market is changing in order to take advantage of the market. So, for instance, if I see a position that say we need a scrum master with dojo experience, right? Many people will easily say, okay, I don't have a dojo experience, so we need a scrum master with Spotify experience. Many people easily dismiss the fact that, oh, I don't have Spotify experience, or what are they talking about? Now, this go to tell you that a lot of people, apart from what they know, they are not willing to take a couple of steps ahead to stand out. I'll give you an example. If I'm applying for a Scrum Master job now and I go on a job description, I see they need a Scrum Master with Dojo experience or with Spotify experience. What happened? I'm definitely going to go ahead and apply for that Scrum Master position. Within the next 3, 4 hours, I'm going to use University of YouTube and learn everything I need to learn about Spotify. And then now, not just learning how I can be able to apply it in my environment to be able to defend that. Now, when we come to the space of interviews and the space of mastering how to navigate through the interview and the job market process, number one is more or less is 50% the reality and 50% your ability to adapt. So it's not 100% the reality. If you want to focus on 100% the reality, what you're going to realize is that you kind of fit out of so many opportunity. Why? Because I'm going to give you an example. You might work in an environment and they're using a software called, let's say, Agile View, right? You work in another environment, they use that same software and they call it spectrum planning. Now, if you come to a job description and you see that they need someone with experience on spectrum planning, you will easily dismiss that, oh, I don't have experience with spectrum planning. But then when you see that it's an opportunity for you to go steps ahead, to be able to do research on that, you realize that, oh, it's the same thing that has been tweaked in a different way. For instance, Jira plan, Agile plan, Agile view, Jira Align, all of them are the same software. Now, different companies just customize them to call them the way they want to call them, right? So you need to understand how to navigate it. Sometimes you might also see that we want a project manager slash scrum master position, and you're like, oh, I don't like project management. Now you need to be able to take a couple of steps and read through the job description and see exactly what they're looking for. And sometimes that's going to be purely scrum master role. But the reason the company decide to put that is because they've had so many bad experience with people just coming in on Scrum, and they don't even have an idea on what a product roadmap is. They have no idea on what it means to plan and forecast for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now you realize that based on that experience, they're going to shift their focus and put it in such a way that someone who can see a bit further than just Scrum is the kind of person that are attracting. So those are like the different opportunities that help you to know exactly what to do. Number three, we're looking at some of the inside tips to ace your Scrum interview. Now, I'm going to talk about first what you can do to get more interviews. And then, secondly, I'm going to talk about what you need to do to be able to be successful in the interview. What do you need to do in order to get more interviews? The first most important thing, whether you like it or not, you can listen to me or you can not take the advice, but this is the first most important thing when you're applying. Apply as if you're the only person applying. A lot of people are not able to land an interview on interview position, not because their resume is not good, not because they are not good, but because the way they think is faulty. So you are applying for an opportunity, and you realize that there are already 500 applicants, and you're like, "Oh no, this is too much. I'm not going to apply." Meanwhile, maybe the time you were about to submit your application is the time the hiring manager was to be seated on their seat, and your application is what they're going to be the first one to see, and you get to have that interview, and that leads to a job. So the first thing you need to do to increase the number of interviews you have is that apply as if you're the only person applying. That thinking like, okay, I'm the only person, I'm the best candidate, and I'm going to get this opportunity. What happened? You are channeling positive energy to attract what you need. All right, there's more in depth into that, but then as simple as what I have said, that's the first step to attracting more interview. Now, the second step to attracting more interview is to be able to leverage your social space. Now, apart from just clicking and applying 200, 300 applications in a day, what is very important is the foundation, building the right foundation that help you to stand out in your application. What exactly do I mean by building the right foundation? When I talk about building the right foundation, what I mean is that you can be applying 200 applications a day and you have a LinkedIn profile that have no picture. You have a LinkedIn profile that do not align with your resume. You have a LinkedIn profile that is very unprofessional. You have a head photo that doesn't even meet the standard quality. Now, when people look at you, the reason why there's a social resume is because they want to see if you're the kind of person they would like to hire in order to bring in their environment. So you present the way you present yourself on your social space. When we're talking about social space here, we're talking about LinkedIn. It's very important because that's your social resume. So that is one of the things you need to do. Now, secondly, if you also on LinkedIn, one of the things that I've also you can also do to have more interview is that you need to be active. Active simply means that comment on other people posts, send invite or request invite to other people in the space and to recruiter, and then put out at least 1 to 3 posts a day. When you do that, your LinkedIn algorithm actually push up. If someone comes on board and they're looking for a scrum master they want to hire, what is going to happen is that your name will pop up on the top, because we have a lot of people who are dormant on LinkedIn. Right. So when you do a search on LinkedIn, the people who pop up is based on how active they are on LinkedIn. So this strategy have actually have a lot of people land interviews from LinkedIn even without applying. Now, there's also a second strategy on leveraging your social space. Number one, you need to be able to understand what to do, not to waste time going through maybe 500 opportunity before finding out what is the right one for you. Learn how to use the filter button on LinkedIn in order to look for a job. How do you learn that? Check out on a YouTube video. We don't have enough time for me to go through that, but these are some of the details which we go through in our community. If you're interested to join more or learn more about in our out, I'm also going to drop a link for those who are interested in checking out our full program. You can check that out. Right now, it's all about diving deeper. It's beyond certification, interview prep, and resume. And now the third thing also is about building your leadership quality and capability. When I talk about leadership quality and capability, what are the things I'm talking about? The first thing I'm talking about in the space of leadership is discipline. You need to master the discipline of applying constantly, not just applying exactly when you like. You need to master a strategy that help you to be able to apply constantly. When you master the strategy, you will realize that it becomes easier for you to pick an interview. Now, what are some of the period I'm always going to recommend that you can easily leverage to stand out when you apply? Now, the period which you want to easily apply, look at look at early in the morning, close to the office hours. Why is it a very important time for you to apply? Because most often the people who are looking at the resumes are getting on their decks and they can easily see it. Now, around midday, like about this time, it's also a good time to apply so that you can stand out in people that are still in the office. They are able to do what they're able to see. They're able to kind of multitasking here. People who are in the office, they can see your interviews, they can see your application, and they can follow up. Now, tally at the close of the day, somewhere around 4 o'clock, when they're also rounding up at the office, those are the period which, if you put in your application, you can easily attract an interview. So it's very important period that you can maximize. Now, what I also recommend for you to apply, use the site I always recommend. LinkedIn is good, fair enough. Yeah, but also at the same time, with LinkedIn, what happened is that there's so much competition in there in terms of applying. Now, we also gonna look at leveraging dice. Dice is a very good space to apply, especially because almost every 3 hours there are new applications that come up on dice for you to apply. So dice is also a space where you want to leverage in your application. What about, you probably will be asking me, what about Indeed? What about uh ZipRecruiter? What about Glassdoor? What about other platform? Is it good for me to apply there? The answer is yes. It's going to be a good space for you to leverage ZipRecruiter, uh, Dice, Glassdoor, and all of that. But I always recommend for you to master at least two sites. The top two sites, LinkedIn. Now, when you focus on LinkedIn applications, one of the things you should pay attention is try as much as possible to do direct apply, right? Directly on the company. With direct apply, you will not get responses immediately. Sometime when you apply directly on the company website, it might take you about even 2 to 3 months to get feedback, right? And that's why, if you're not yet confident about your resume and you have not had maybe an expert review that, don't be too quick to go apply. I had a scenario where I had to look at the resume of someone, right? And that person has actually put out thousands of applications. But then, right on their resume, with the way it was structured, there was never a day that person would get a chance, right? There was never a way that person would get a chance. I'm not going to go into detail, but this is what's happening to so many people. You're applying, you've never had someone to look at your resume. Now, with all due respect to resume writers are good. But if you want to leverage resume writer, you need to leverage someone that has been in the space, and you can validate their expertise. To be candid, there's so many people within the Scrum space that doesn't understand what a resume looks like. Now, if you look at a resume that will normally get to an interview 1 or 2 years back is not the same resume that will get to an interview now. So there's that change in the space of time, which we need to be able to align with. And you can only align with that when you can actively track what is working and what is not working. So that is very, very important. What you can do to if you're to land your interview. Now, the third aspect on what you can do, some of the trick you can do in order to uh, stand out in your interview, is to constantly practice and practice and practice and practice with those that are in the same journey with you, not with yourself. I've seen a lot of people, they watch a lot of YouTube video, they become confident, they write the document, but the moment they get on video, what happens? They cannot say it because they have not practiced how to talk. Right. Now, the fourth thing, we kind of rounding up in a minute. If you have questions, you can start putting them in now. I'll be able to take a couple of questions before I wrap up. Now, the fourth thing, which one you probably want to focus on in order to navigate the Scrum job market with success, it's about the skills. What are the skills that you should master? The first basic skills is soft skills. When I talk about soft skills is your ability to present. Now, when you go for an interview, the first thing an interviewer is looking for, they're not just looking for how rightly you answer a question. They're looking at how do you construct the sentences. They're looking at how do you navigate from one question to another. They're looking at how do you engage. If I ask a question, what is the way you engage with the question? How do you introduce yourself and all of that? Very important. These are soft skills that you need to learn. For instance, if I ask you a question, tell me about a time where you failed as a scrum master. Right. Now, the way I'm expecting you to respond from this question is going to tell me if you have some leadership skills or not. I'll give you an example. If I say, tell me a time you failed as a scrum master, and you're like, oh, fail as a scrum master. I've never failed as a scrum master. I will not say I failed as a scrum master, right? Which is the correct answer. But then in the space where they are asking, it's not a valid answer. Right. Now, in the space of leadership, we understand that failure is a strategy to go up, right? Scrum will say fail fast, then fast. So if they say, tell me a time you failed as a scrum master, I'm like, oh, that's a tricky one. Although no one like to always accept that they fail, but I always see failure as a learning opportunity. And I always see failure as what are the things that we need to improve. So in that sense, I would not say I have failed, but there are a couple of stuff I've been able to learn. You can give an example now. This is now someone that's answering from a leadership perspective, right? Now, these are some of the stuff that you learn them while you are leveraging what? Your Scrum network and communities of practice in order to grow your journey. Now, these are stuff that you would hardly learn them if you're working on your own. Now, another important skill, which is sometimes it doesn't come up until when you get a job. skills on how to do a PowerPoint presentation, skills on how to do an Excel presentation, skills on how to be able to share your screen, to be able to set up a calendar. Many people don't pay attention on that until when they get on the job and like, okay, I need to learn that. Skills on how to do breakout rooms on Zoom, those are skills that are very relevant. Not forgetting skills to facilitate, to coach, and to be what? A conflict resolutor. Very important. Now, the last aspect which I'm going to talk about today is practical advice on how to build and leverage your Scrum network. What is the practical advice I can give you? Now, what I can give you um, based on the experience I've had is the fact that if you definitely want to succeed and stand out, don't go alone. Engage. Engage in a community of other people who are learning. Peer learning is by far the most beneficial form of learning. Why? Because the accountability is there and you can have opportunity to grow yourself and stand out. Unfortunately, many people don't understand the importance of peer learning. They struggle on their own, and that's one of the reasons they easily give up and like think like, "Oh, this wasn't for me." No, the reason it wasn't for you because you think you're the only person overburdening yourself, right? So in most of the cases, you want to be able not just to be on your own, be part of a community. If it's gonna cost you everything to be part of the community, what you're doing is that you are holding yourself accountable not to fail. And now this is a personal advice from me to you, right? One of the things you should never look at or you should never consider as this is too expensive is when you are investing on your personal development. Now, at a certain point, a lot of people look at it as I want to get a job, but it's not about getting a job. It's all about investing on your value. Now, when many people, the reason why you see so many stuff very expensive for you now, it's about you seeing like, oh, I already have a job and this is just another job. You don't see the leadership potential that you will build in that environment. You don't see the network and the people that you will meet in that space. You don't see how this is going to transform you to somebody who can now grow to become an enterprise coach and grow to become a whole change management leader within the next 10 years. If you realize that, you'll see that even hundreds of thousands, it's worth investing in this journey. So don't be that kind of person that is limited by the immediate that you need. What helps you succeed and not to be at a point where you constantly are failing and struggling with every stuff is your ability to see far. If you can see far, you'll be able to hold and prevail through every environment until or every odds until you get it. All right. I think those were the five main stuff we actually discussed. For those who probably joined in a bit late, we spoke about strategy for standing out in a competitive job market, how to navigate the intricacy of Scrum job landscape, and we spoke about some tips that can help you easily land an interview and perform well in the interview. I spoke about some of the skills you should be going out for, you should be looking to build yourself in. And lastly, we look at some of the practical advice on how to build and leverage Scrum Network. So that was a full 30-minute session. Kind of keep it straight because I want you to be able to bounce back to it, listen to it over and over again so that it can actually help you accomplish exactly what you need to accomplish. I'm not forgetting that you want to share this with someone you think they're gonna need it, right? A lot of people are unable to get a job not because they can't get a job. They are missing out exactly what they need to do to get a job. All right, thank you very much for today. Let me see if we have some questions. Yes, we have a question from Rhoda. What your take on recruiter asking for your driver license or visa copy? I always refuse to give it. Okay. Um, If they ask for last four digits of social and date of birth, I change the number, advise listener. All right. So it depends on the recruiting companies, right? The reason some ask for your driver license most often is also because of the experiences they've been through, that they go through the space with someone and they realize that, oh, the person they're actually talking to is completely different. So it's also based on the experiences, on some of the experiences they have had. When is that case, what happened is that if you want to share your driver license, you can blank out the driver license number, and you can even blank out maybe your date of birth or so, and all the vital information, just leave your face and your name, and then you can do a copy of that and send to them. Also, the last four digits of your social security, that is required by most of the company to validate you. Now, the reason why this is asked, especially when most of the institutions that want to hire you require some high level of security or so. They want to be able to validate you in a system to see that, okay, um, they can go through with you. So they do more of a, I would say, a soft check to see if you're eligible to work in that space. For instance, working in a bank or working in a government areas or so, they'll always ask most of those sensitive information. So you that might also happen. um Date of birth, most often they ask just your, I think, the month and the day, right? They will not really ask the year. In case they're asking for the year, that's when they've already advanced to giving you an offer. All right. So I think that was the main question that came up on board. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'm going to see everybody on the other side. And do have a great rest of your week. And if you, in case you have any other questions which are coming on, okay, feel free, put them in a comment. I probably might look back and then get to answer them. For those who are interested in joining a Scrum community, reach out to me. If you look at this but that's actually scrolling down there, you'll see my, send me a text, or you definitely can visit our website to learn more about how we can help you navigate in this very high competitive environment. I see you on the other side. Do have a great day. And for those who are actually out there enjoying their lunch, thank you for taking a moment, stop and listening. And I'll see everybody on the Friday. Now we're having a safe training certification this weekend for those who want to join. You can reach out and join the safe training certification that we're having this weekend. It's very important for you to be able to level up in your journey.